Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on June the 28th, 2022. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, with his face protection on.
Caffeine
Right. On today's show, we will be going over the June Gameclub, which is Hardspace Shipbreaker. We will reveal the July Gameclub. Then we'll be catching up on some Community Corner stuff. Skyrim Grandma would love Bethesda to release Elder Scrolls 6 before she dies. Ted Cruz claims to be the world's most annoying type of gamer, weighs in on loot boxes, and Diablo Immortal could run your wallet way more than you thought. Timestamps will be in the show notes following the respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Hello.
We live.
Well, me, it was never a question. You, on the other hand.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple weeks. One was my fault. Okay, well, technically not, but... And one was your fault. And it is still your fault. So...
Yep. And I sound rough.
Yeah, week before last, Tuesday morning, connection goes down. This was the 14th of June. Connection goes down. Okay, well... my internet provider mentioned that there would be work going on and off, so noon rolls around. Connection's been down for like 4 hours. Lovely, right?
Yep.
Then get a notification from the ISP saying it's going to be a while, because the day before there had been a pretty massive storm, and it knocked, have you've heard the road, the term country roads, of course, right?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't refer to the idea of rural roads. It refers to the idea that the roads are so bad in West Virginia, they're practically made of dirt. There's been a tree that's been kind of the 2.5 years that I've lived here.
Yeah. And
the storm finally knocked it over. Alright? They had to know about this tree. They've worked in the area beforehand. Right?
Yeah.
But, state just can't afford a gas tax holiday because it would just ruin the money that they have for patch jobs in the state. Right?
With, huge air quotes, wink, nudge, sarcasm.
Yeah, I'm not being sarcastic or petty at all on politics this week. There's no reason to be pissy about politics this week.
Absolutely nothing bad happened in this country. Nobody lost any rights. Nobody was injured or died.
It's not like the highest court in the land overturned two landmark cases where, and made things worse in this country.
Right? It's not like America is, I almost said becoming, but that's not true. It's been that way for a while. An authoritarian shithole.
And slipping into more of a theocracy with the whole football coach case.
Right.
But we digress, right?
Absolutely.
Oh. Don't worry, we'll get more political later on. Possibly. So.
And then for my part, last week, I just...
I wasn't even done yet.
Oh, alright. Carry on.
So, tree goes down, knocks out power for a while, and actually took out 2 utility poles on the process. I should say power flickered here for a bit, but it remained... it went out for about an hour and then came back up. And, no internet, no anything else. No cable at all. Adia's mom was annoyed because, no TV. So.
Right.
Knocked out a couple utility poles. So I was without internet for a couple days. And that was fun. Luckily, I had decent cell phone service this time around because last time that happened, cell phone tower also lost power. Right. But that's why we didn't record on the 14th, and then the 21st, your body decided to fall apart.
Yeah,
Again.
I just didn't feel good last week. It's very hard to explain. I've been to the doctor twice now, and as best as we can figure, it's that telltale, nebulous, like, long COVID stuff. I'm making over-exaggerated, like, motions with my arms. I don't know why.
Are you Italian?
But it's... Yes, I am now. But it's, fatigue, weakness, cough, weird aches and pains in places in my body that I can't explain why they would hurt in that way. So, I didn't work yesterday or today. I'm not working tomorrow. I may work Thursday, and if I don't want to go to work Friday, I have to go back to the doctor. It's a mess. Also, as you can tell, I sound bad. I had a really bad cough for a few days. That has more or less subsided, but also because I've been sitting at home not talking to anyone. So we'll see if that gets worse throughout our recording. It sucks. It really sucks. On the bright side, I so far haven't experienced any more of that brain fog stuff than I usually do. Because my brain has always had issues. People are convinced that I'm somewhat ADHD, and that may be true. I don't know. I've never been tested, but I very consistently
getting distracted.
I do get distracted, but no, I very consistently have these just moments where my brain will just lock up, and it's like, well, I can't think of the word or phrase that I was going to use, so I'm going to stall for a moment before I think of it.
While you blue screen?
Yes. So, that doesn't appear to be happening anymore. It hasn't impeded my progress to play any games that require thinking. And I haven't had any issues doing therapy with people. Any more issues, anyways. Any new ones, let's say.
Speaking of games we played?
Yeah, I suppose that's an accidental, natural segue. I definitely didn't do that on purpose, but...
I know,
we'll take it.
But I'm taking it.
Right. So, yeah,
I'm taking this off-ramp.
Yes. Or the on-ramp, maybe?
I'm taking this off-ramp onto the on-ramp.
Right.
And we're just going around in circles now.
Right. Absolutely. Anyways, for our June... Well, we do, once a month, a game club that guarantees that we play the same game at the same time. Although that happens a lot more than it used to. But we talk about it. We do. And then we talk about it. And that's what we're doing today. We're talking about it. The game we played for June is Hardspace Shipbreaker after it came to Game Pass, PC Game Pass, a month ago. Maybe 6 weeks ago.
It was more like 2 months ago.
All right, 2 months ago.
I was playing it before the last Tuesday. It came to Game Pass day one on its release, so I'm just getting a double check on the release date. May 24th.
Right.
And we only did a couple picks on our last Tuesday. Pretty much immediately went to...
Yeah.
And Hardspace Shipbreaker is kind of a post... economic apocalyptic ship junkyard simulator.
Yes. That is definitely one way to look at it. Another way is a good vibes, relaxing time generator.
Yeah, well, it also depends on the mode you select. So, you play as a shipbreaker who is in its Earth orbit, right?
Yeah. They make mention of some other places in the solar system.
Mars, and it sounds like humanity's has colonies all the way out to Jupiter with essentially junk gates, or not faster than light, but a good portion of speed of light travel.
Yeah.
Not sure if it's launch windows and that sort of thing or what, but anyway, basically it's kind of the Earth got used up portion of sci-fi where Earth is pretty much gone to shit. Corporations have eroded human rights. Boy, this seems really familiar somehow.
Yes.
And you're working as essentially a junkyard Shipbreaker to be able to fund going off-world for whatever reason. They don't really give a lot of info on your character's backstory. And you're kind of this blank slate character anyway. But they also, the opening sequence makes it sound like you have a kid that you're trying to support for, but then it's never mentioned again, which is just...
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The opening sequence, though, is lovely. I'm trying to decide where to start talking, or, what to talk about first.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into the theme of it, because I kind of just, when I was originally trying out the game, I skipped past the EULA.
Which I did not. I was like...
I read
the whole thing.
I was just going in to try to, see what the game was like. This was before it was chosen for our game club. But then I went in and read it on a separate save file. It's basically just horrendous. Talking about stripping away essentially all human rights, and because you're signing up for this program, you are the company's property until they release you, and even then, they're allowed to keep genetic backups, copies of your memory, to essentially make a copy of you later on.
Yeah. So, slave labor, baby.
No, it's not slave labor. It's indentured servitude. Get it right. Right. And a matter of fact, whenever you sign up, you're hit with all these fees, including a $75 fee to show the fees that you're being charged.
Yes, which is cute and funny, but then it's like, oh god, this is so real. Like, companies do this shit. They do as much of this as they can get away with at all times and are constantly pushing the envelope on what they can get away with.
Yeah, it reminds me of, something I saw on Mildly Infuriating just today that I showed Anita. Someone's Easy Pass in Delaware malfunctioned, and they accidentally skipped a toll. So the transit authority sent them a bill for the toll. It was a $1 toll, but then they hit with processing fees and everything else. So for a $1 toll, it was like $60.
Damn.
And then they didn't have the audacity to send a pre-posted envelope, so you also have to use a stamp, right?
I would have fought it on principle. Like, I could afford a weird bullshit $60 toll, but fuck that, fuck you. I'll pay you the $1.
Small claims court.
Absolutely. But anyways, for anyone who knows anything about history, the story of this game is a combination of sort of 19th and 20th century American union and worker rights stories. The railroad is probably, or the American railroads, and who's the oil guy?
The coal towns.
Yeah, the old coal towns, but who was Standard Oil, Rockefeller.
Yeah.
It mirrors a lot of Rockefeller's tactics and, obviously the sci-fi stuff. Not historical, nor is the, backup lives that you have.
So, their in-game exploration of you be able to respawn as their ever worker program, where essentially your helmet is constantly backing up your neural pathways and is able to essentially clone you. And every night they do a genetic backup. So, Oh, and it also costs you, several $100,000 on top of the billions that you already owe, right?
Right. Very interesting the way that they do that, though. Like, I've mentioned this a couple of times on the show, a podcast I listen to called Science and Futurism. And this was an episode, not Hardspace Shipbreakers, but the idea of companies backing up their workers' minds and then sending them in on dangerous jobs. And if they died, then you just put their mind in a clone and let them keep going from where they were. He talks on that episode about how inefficient it would be. It would be much better to just send drones. Like, if you're doing something so dangerous that someone could die and you would need to genetically clone them, why not just send a drone? Or, a cyborg or something, and if there is a situation that doesn't permit that, then, fair enough, I guess, but I just thought that was interesting. And I don't know if this is me being like, yes, the cruelty is the point, because the cruelty so often seems to be the point.
Oh, especially once you get the new boss in.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to him.
Yeah. Let's talk about mechanics, and then we'll talk about the story.
Yeah, this is where I feel like the game comes up a little short. Don't get me wrong. I am going to shit on this game a bit. I do like the game, but I am going to shit on it a bit.
Right.
The game feels,
as is your right.
My right. It's also my privilege. The game feels unfinished. It has a satisfying loop, but damn, is there places where it feels, and that's partly due to the fact that they have a spot for a fourth gun or for a fourth tool that they never unlock. They have icons for hazards that they never use. They have danger rankings that they never use. As a matter of fact, once you get past employee rank 20, you unlock nothing. I might be slightly wrong on that, but you have a good 8 or 9 levels where you are unlocking nothing but just titles. This game feels very, very unfinished mechanically. It is very satisfying to go in and start taking things apart, but it feels like there could be more.
Right.
And thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I didn't want to interrupt you if that was all.
I mean, that's the thing, is that I wanted to get this out before, we gush all over it, is that it does feel like there should be more. There may have been plans for it, and they just had to push it out of early access. Because it wasn't early access for a long time, and that's one of the complaints, is that early access, there was a lot of changes from the base game. Or to the base game to the release version. The last big early access push.
Yeah.
So that might be part of it, is that, they just ran out of time. And the fact that the core loop, once you are introduced to the last hazard, which is radiation, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Nothing really changes for a very long time.
No. Once you're given the Class 1 reactor, nothing changes until you get the Class 2 reactor.
And they never go past Class 2.
And they never go past Class 2.
Which there's also room for that.
Yeah. My only
complaint... The only thing that really changes up the loop is the haunted ships. Which I honestly didn't like, because it's basically just toggling on and off different systems until you go in and destroy AI nodes.
Yeah. My only real complaint with the game is the sameness or the sameness of the ships that you take apart. There's some initial variety, and you can, if you want to, you can go back to an earlier ship. There's no penalty other than you just don't get as much money and as many, basically XP to level up.
Mm-hmm.
There's no penalty other than that, so you can go back to earlier ships, but there's still very little variety in each of the ship classes. There's a few design variations that you can tell based on the name of the ship or the class of the ship. Like, what's the thing I'm looking for? There's designations for the ships, and so they'll have like sort of very 90% the same design with minor changes here or there.
Yeah. The tankers will have, sometimes they'll be like cryogenic stuff, sometimes they'll be fuel.
Right.
Sometimes they won't even be populated. Yeah.
So, and there's, I don't know, how many different ships are there? A dozen?
Something
main
like that.
Designs?
Now I need to go find something for that one.
But, I mean, they're all just very samey. And as there's some initial excitement as it's like, ooh, I got a new level, I got some new ships, I can go check them out. But once I realized that it's like,
there's 4 primary classes.
Okay.
So, with variations on each class. There's the mackerel, the javelin, the gecko, and the atlas. And the last hazard level is hazard level 9, which is at rank 20. And rank 23 introduces the large refueling javelin. So there is that.
Woo.
And that's the last time it introduces anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, rank... Yeah. So by then, like... And there's still a third... Technically, there's about a third of the game left. But, the farther you progress, the longer it takes to get to the next level. So if you, even doing the maximum ship class every time, it's still going to take you longer and longer to progress. So it's more than a third of the game. And that honestly gets boring. I like the story. It's pretty straightforward. We'll get to it in a little bit. But I like the story. So that was nice. But the gameplay loop, while satisfying, once that variety wears off and you develop your own rhythm. Now, you and I played differently, so I guess that we can dive into this now. There's 4 sort of primary modes to play the game. There's, I forget what they're called, but there's
open shift, closed shift, limited respawn, and then essentially Iron Man.
Yeah. So open shift is the most relaxed. There's no shift timer, and you don't have to worry about something else, right? Fuel and air? Is that right?
No, you have the option to turn it off on air, which I turned it off for a while. Sometimes I would turn it back on, but I had plenty of upgrade points just because I could just sit there and cut away at my leisure instead of having to be rushed. So
gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. Then there's closed shift, which is what I played on. So you played open shift, I played closed shift. Closed shift is the standard, basically. You have 15-minute timers for how long you can be out working on a ship at a time. You have limited air.
Which does seem a little weird, 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. You have limited air and fuel.
Or you have no option to turn off the air depletion.
Right.
You have it at open shift. You get to have it air drain enabled or disabled. I'm just wanting to clear up on that one.
Right. And then you have unlimited respawns if you die. And that's it. And then there's what'd you say the third one was?
There's limited spawns, which is sets a hard limit at the number of extras that you have.
Yeah,
and
which
then
is
there's
30, I believe.
Yeah, which I did not die close to 30 times.
No,
how many did you die?
I don't remember. Maybe
you got any
humorous
ones?
No.
I have a couple. One, it was on the tutorial ship for the power generator. They really push you to pull that power generator ASAP.
Yeah.
But also, or at least on mine, it had a class 2 reactor. And I couldn't do the power down on the reactor because of it, to be able to safely pull it.
Yeah.
And it also made it so that I couldn't cycle some of the airlocks or properly depressurize the ship. So I got the bright idea to just close cut open the door, because the door was closed and wouldn't power. The ship lost power because the power generator is gone, so I couldn't open the door. I cut open the door, and the door ran pressure behind it smacked it right into my helmet.
Nice.
And then I had another one where I had a piece of debris that got stuck, and then physics glitch kind of hit, had it hit me, and then I kind of 8-ball corner pocket right into the furnace. That one was not my fault. That was the physics glitch.
I guess, let's see. I had a couple that you might think of as humorous. I would, before I got a couple of upgrades on my jetpack or on my booster speed to fly around, I would Spider-Man myself with my little grappling hook and reel myself in.
Yeah, you're Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And did you get any stickers for it?
Yeah, I did. I think. I don't know. I got a bunch of stickers for stuff, but I think I got one for doing that.
Which stickers are basically your achievements in game.
Yeah, and you can decorate your tools.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was Spider-Maning myself around, and I Spider-Maned a little too hard, bounced off of a ship, and got knocked into, not the furnace, but the other one. The
processor?
Yeah, the processor.
Oh, you got processed.
I got processed.
At least for me, it was quick, right?
Yeah. Then I had the first time that it gave you a pressurized ship. And it's like, oh, you have to be careful getting into a pressurized ship. You have to depressurize everything.
Yeah, which there's sometimes that you get a pressurized ship that there's no way to safely depressurize that fucker.
Yes, and
which is annoying.
Honest, I'm sure that I screwed something up this first time just because I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing. But I cut open the cockpit glass, and when I did, a loose object in the cockpit shot out and smacked into my helmet and shattered the glass, and I suffocated.
And they go hardcore on that. Yeah, you break your helmet, you're going to remember that one.
Yeah,
because it's hard to explain. The game really kind of sells you on that you're there with how they have the helmet bevel like always around the very edge of the screen, and they go really hard on the sound effects whenever you suddenly are in the vacuum of space.
Yeah. Although I kind of like whenever you do get smacked in the head, and you get a radio malfunction.
Yeah, you smack yourself hard enough. Right.
You can hear other music other than the
twangy guitar.
The twangy guitar music.
Which is on kind of a loop that if you're on 15-minute timer, it's okay. But if you're not, you end up turning it off.
Oh no, it still gets real fast. I turned it way down. Like, just to have a little bit of background
music. This ended up being essentially like a video podcast game for me because I have a 2-screen setup. I'd set up something on the secondary screen to just play in the background as I'm saying here, just carving away at stuff.
Yeah, I did that too. But no, the rest of my deaths were just like, oops, I accidentally was out in the ship for too long and I ran out of air.
See, I never actually ran out of air, even when I had the drain going. I did find the oxygen drain very annoying because it was like 5 minutes of oxygen for your spacesuit without any upgrades.
I can't remember if it's the first upgrade or the second upgrade, but that gets it up to like 8 minutes, which means that on 15-minute shifts, you refuel once. Or if you get a ship that has oxygen tanks in it, you can just save one of those and fill up partway through the shift.
It's kind of weird. I think the game feels more balanced around the open shift, but the story feels more balanced around the closed shifts.
I felt fine with the game being balanced around closed shift. 15 minutes is enough to get all the way up, at least for me. In the way that I did it, 15 minutes was enough to get up to like a class 5 or a class 6 ship in one go. 2 if I was trying to be really careful, although let's be real, I was not super careful a lot. I was moderately wasteful. But anyways,
went full like Zen mode, and I'd spend like an hour on a ship just completely breaking it apart.
Yeah,
but that's kind of the beauty of the open shift is just, you could go at your own pace.
See, with the closed shift, I tried to get my mind set into that, hitting the grind kind of thing. So it's like I would go as fast as possible, and I would abandon a lot of ships after one day or maybe two, because you look at it and it's like, well, there's only like $1 million left worth of stuff to get. So I would be wasting most of this shift, so I'll give that ship up and take a new ship and start on it. So it does change up the gameplay. I mean, I guess, if you're a completionist, you could take the 15-minute shift timer and, apply that mindset to it. But,
they add a lot of demolition charges.
Yeah, so that's it. Okay, equipment. Let's talk about our equipment. I think that's the last piece that I can... Well, no, a couple other things, but let's talk about equipment since you mentioned demo charges. So your equipment, you get this gun that is like a tractor beam. You can get some lore in game and read up in the the in-game codex about what this is and how the technology works. But it's sci-fi particles and things.
And think of it as the gravity gun from Half-Life, only with a bit of a tractor beam. Somebody left the gravity gun alone with a tractor beam from Star Trek, and they made Sweet Sweet Love.
Yes. That and a laser cutter are your 1-2 combo for almost the entire game. Where the laser cutter cuts things, and then the tractor beam, you can use that to pull apart the things that you cut, or pull out loose objects, or break objects off of the ship, depending on what they are. For example, like seats or air conditioner vents or electronics, whatever, like stuff that you can recycle for cash.
And also tether things for bigger chunks.
Yes, then you get tethers, which pull point A towards point B. So like you just said, pulling bigger chunks.
And there's also a hidden mechanic on them that the longer the tether is, the stronger it's pulling.
Yes. I figured that one out pretty quick.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, you're cutting apart ships. Maybe you've got an engine nacelle that's going to go into the furnace. So you could...
No, that goes into the barge. You fool.
Well, you're right. But I just said that as an example. But,
No wonder you didn't get promoted.
Okay, fine. It goes into the...
Here I thought it was all the union talk you were doing, but no, it's because you keep checking the...
Because
cells.
I'm incompetent?
Yeah.
But
keep
anyways,
that incompetence up, you're going to head up to management.
Right. But, okay, so yes. So I'll replace furnace with barge. So instead of taking a long time to maybe cut it up into small... Although if you cut up an engine nacelle into smaller pieces, you scrap it and then you have to put it in the furnace, but... Instead of breaking it down into smaller pieces or taking a long time to, tractor it down yourself, you just hit it with a tether and then shoot the tether into the recycling barge and it will pull it down for you. You can do that with larger pieces of scrap. It just moves them around much more efficiently than you can, even with a very upgraded tether, because objects that are bigger than you pull you towards them more than you pull them towards you or wherever you're trying to direct them. So the tethers work really well for that because sci-fi space magic
only goes so far.
Your tractor beam, your laser cutter, and your tether for the first 11 levels, and then you get demo charges, which make things go much faster but tend to be more wasteful.
And they're not, just spherical boom things. Think of them as just a shape charged that goes along a single, two planes that goes out from it. So one will go like straight down and the other one goes straight up.
Yeah.
And with enough upgrades. Well, that is also one thing I wish is that you could toggle upgrades or have the option to change things mid-shift, because the upgrades for the demo charges actually reduces the amount of boom power they have so that you can be more precise with them. But I would have loved an option to, I need to cut through this giant support for a nacelle, and it's a class 3 cutting point that has to use a demo charge, which is something else that I found. If I have upgraded my demo area of effect too much, I might need 2 charges for that. And, demo charges can be expensive.
Yep, same thing with the tethers, actually. The tethers also cost money to replenish.
Yeah, but the tethers are also a lot cheaper.
True.
And even upgraded, you get 50 tethers at max. But the demo charges, I think you get 20 or 30.
And it costs the same to refill them, no matter how many you've used.
Because corporations, right?
Yep.
So, it's that's one of the things I wish that you could have toggled. That, and also sometimes you might get a upgrade that you might not want.
Yeah. But that's it for your tools. The laser cutter also has 2 modes. A single sort of pinpoint mode that burns away the cut points, and then you can change it to a
Slicing
a
mode.
wide slicing mode that can cut points like that, but also can be used to freeform cut metal as long as your laser cutters. On some things.
And that's kind of the other thing, is that the game doesn't really tell you what you can slice with that, and what, if you hit it with that mode, it's just going to vaporize the entire thing.
Yeah. Trial and error. There was much vaporizing that happened with...
Yeah, and sometimes it was even the ship parts.
Occasionally. Usually not, though. Then you also have your backpack, or not your backpack, your suit, which has a jetpack. What the upgrades for that are more fuel and move faster and stop better.
And also, everything has an upgrade that reduces the amount of wear and tear it takes, which that was also an annoying thing where if something goes beyond 75% wear remaining, or life remaining, essentially, it starts becoming less efficient to use. Like, your jetpack suddenly gets a lot slower. I'm presuming the helmet starts losing oxygen more, because of course it would.
The cutting beam overheats faster.
Yeah.
And those also cost money. You get a whole bunch of repair kits at the start, but the bigger ships are much less likely to have things in them like that. Most ships have oxygen and things that will spawn in them. Not always, but lots of times they will.
Maybe a data thing, which is your in-game lore.
Yeah. The small ships... Yeah. The small ships are very likely to have other stuff spawn in them, though. Like repair kits for your tools or health packs for you. So a lot of times, if one of my repair kits would get low, then I would load up an earlier class of ship instead of just buying them, because get them for free there, and then also you still get money and experience for dismantling a lower class of ship with no penalty other than it's less than a big ship.
Yeah, see, for me, you do get repair kits if you get the last, usually 1, maybe 2 milestones, but for the big ships, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
And
even 1 or 2 simple mistakes on some of the big ships can be enough because of how much value is tied up in, perhaps like the reactor core, or just a particularly large chunk of hull. It can be enough to take you out of that top earning spot.
Or
that
or
top
if you get
tier.
very unlucky and you got a ship that you have to do a violent depressurization on.
Yes.
As Lou would say, right? Which we'll get to characters in a bit.
Yeah.
The air regulators, as you described, the air conditioner looking thingies.
Yeah.
Are very prone to destruction on those. And if there's a lot of free floating stuff inside the ship, it also will allow a lot of damage to other things, and could also be a real hassle. And I did abandon this shift on one violent decompression. I don't know how, but the core exploded. So my way of doing violent decompression, if I didn't have a way to do to set it up inside the ship, or a good way to set up things, I would put charges on the the bow of the ship, or put them on the inside nose of the ship to blow the cut points there, to basically makes it so that it's not a jet, because they do actually do a pretty good job on the physics. And if there's a small hole, it's going to take a lot longer than if there's a big hole.
Yeah.
So I was trying to minimize the amount of thrust. And I don't know how, but on one of the big ships, the core took enough damage that it just exploded. I'm not sure if it got rattled loose, if something hit it, and the shielding wasn't all the way there, because the reactor cores tend to have some sort of like radioactive shielding around them, which that is a really neat effect. Whenever you're close to the core, you can see the UI kind of just bug out because of all the radiation that you're totally fine getting irradiated, right?
Right. Absolutely. You've got spares.
But the entire acid to the ship was just a debris field.
Yeah.
And I lost like 3 milestones on that. Well, this isn't worth cleaning up. Abandoned.
Yeah. I will say that I don't think I would ever play this game on its Iron Man mode.
Oh, God. Right.
Because of the same reason that I don't like to play any game on Iron Man mode. Weird random bullshit that ends your run. Like, I can't... So some of the ships that had the engine pods that you would have to go inside of and stop them from melting down and like flip the switch that would blow them apart into 2 separate bits.
See, I never did any of those because the tutorial, I had a bug out where it did story bit over the tutorial bit. So I never bothered because it never told me how to do it.
Well, there are some engine pods that you have to dismantle, and once you get to sort of a key moment in the dismantling, if you want to take it apart for maximum value, you have to go inside the engine pod while it's melting down and pull the emergency sort of coolant pressure release, which blows the pod apart into 2 separate parts. It's very dangerous. I had several of them blow up on me because I was too slow. A couple of times it severely injured me. Once it killed me, the explosions. But one time I went in there to do it perfectly. I didn't get damaged at all from the overheating because like it catches on fire and starts venting fire and plasma out. I took no damage from that. I didn't take any damage slamming into the back, going too quickly. Like, it was perfect. I flipped the lever to pop it apart, and there was some kind of physics glitch, and I got crushed in the engine pod as it separated into 2 pieces and died. Just random bullshit. And in the Iron Man mode, like, that would have ended my game. And I had that happen a couple other times with pieces like flying out from somewhere. So airlocks can actually be decompressed twice. Once for each door because of, I don't know, reasons. And I could do it regularly. So either it's a glitch that happens commonly or just an issue with how they're coded. But the first time it happened, I thought that I had decompressed it, and then I went to cut open the other door and it decompressed again. So yeah, I had already decompressed the ship, and the airlock itself was still compressed. So I cut open one door and, stayed away so that trapped air could flow out. And then I go inside and I cut open the other door, and it acted as if it needed to decompress again. And I got vented into explosively vented into a wall and smashed my helmet. That time didn't kill me. It almost did, but it didn't. So, yeah, random bullshit, accidental kills. I could never play Iron Man mode in this game. I mean, there were plenty of times I did stupid things that got me killed that totally were my fault. 2 or 3 times. It's like, yeah, I'll be alright. If this blows up or if this catches on fire, I'll be alright. And then I did the thing and it blew up or it caught on fire and I was not okay. But that's my fault. That's on me.
Yeah, so. I did have a couple weird things where a couple times it would be, I didn't realize that, there was something behind a cut point. But then there was a couple others where it was like the cutting laser went through something that and would catch a fuel line on fire. And it was just, watching the ship smolder on the inside while I sit there. There's nothing I could do for this. I was not trained for this situation, right?
Yep. Blood for the blood god, I suppose. Let's go.
Well, I guess I'll just, oh, well, it's already on fire here. Let me just tether it into the furnace. Right?
Yep. Let's go.
It did feel like there was a few times that if you were or even playing on open shift, there was little option on how to finish a ship outside of just, okay, well, time to split the ship into a few sections with the demo charges. Especially the big ones. It just felt like there was no really organic way to break them down completely.
Yeah.
And also, I will say that the ships that you get whenever all the air regulators are offline are annoying. I mean, it's fun to explosively decompress, but at the same time, going in and seeing everything, broken, it's just, oh, this is going to be annoying, right?
Yeah.
And the one other mechanic, did you mess with ghost ships yet?
No, not too much. A little bit.
I only did a couple. So the in the game lore, essentially AIs are outlawed because they kind of try to I never actually got the codex to say exactly what happened, but that's kind of the sense I got, was that there was like a brink of war, or the corporations were afraid that it would replace too many workers, right? It would cut into profits too much.
Yeah.
So, there's this like cult that worships AIs, and occasionally you have the option of getting a ship that they towed in from the outskirts of the inhabited solar system that may be infested with AI nodes. And at first, the ship behaves like normal, and you know what you're getting into. It's not like, oh, surprise, this is a ghost ship. You're getting into something whenever you see a scrambled ship and you take it. But, it does present a little bit of a break of the monotony. So, whenever you start up the ship, it behaves normally. But hidden throughout the ship are AI nodes that you have to destroy. Either by hitting them with your laser pointer of doom, or just chucking that piece of salvage into the furnace. But it gives no bonus or no credit to you for whatever reason, even though you are destroying the AI node, right?
Yeah. See, that's expected of being a good human. The company doesn't need to reward you for that.
Although, if you destroy the AI node, anything that's attached to regains its value, because, right? But once you destroy a couple AI nodes, the ship starts to kind of like wake up. So any doors that are still functional will randomly open and close. If there's functioning atmospheric regulators, they may repressurize the ship and try to violently decompress you, and it may try to trap you. But the thing is that it's also kind of easy to foil because you're getting into a ghost ship. So you can go in and, forcibly disable all the atmospheric regulators. You could cut open all the doors, and kind of prep it. And it feels like that, the concept is there, but it's not quite fleshed out enough,
Yeah.
And there's really no pressure for, I mean, it is a space game. Because, if you prepped, you're just going around on the inside of the ship like, okay, oh, there's one, zzz, there's another one, zzz. And it doesn't even try to like melt down the reactor or anything, which would have, or at least the couple I did. I'm not sure if they would have. But it's just it felt like a half-baked concept.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of my. I think that's going to be kind of my closing thoughts on the entire game. Is like I really like the game, but it feels like there could have been more of everything. Really.
Yeah. Well, speaking of everything, let's get to the last thing we haven't really talked about so far, which is the story. I mean, we've mentioned the overall themes. This game, if you read the EULA at the start of the game, it basically, and if you read the EULA and you care or know anything about workers and labor rights and unionization, you can figure out where this game is going in a few minutes.
Hell, just the opening cutscene if you don't read the EULA, right?
True. Very true. But, it lays it all out that, basically you will have no rights as a person, you owned by the company, and almost immediately you meet, and I can't remember any of the character names, almost immediately
Lou,
you meet...
Walker or... shoot, now I'm blank. I'm bringing up a character list because I really like the characters. What can I say?
Here's how I remember them.
Weaver.
So here's how I remember them. You tell me their names. You've got the nice boss.
That's Joseph Weaver.
Okay. You've got the union lady.
That is Lou.
You've got the screw up.
That is Kato.
You've got the other lady who talks about her kid.
Dee Dee.
You've got the shitty boss.
Hal.
And, there's the corporate lady.
That's, one of the Paulsons.
And then there's the, AI. Air quotes, AI. Or not AI, whatever. When you're rebuilding the ship.
Oh, the voice, that's just, that's just, essentially control. I don't think there was actually ever really a name.
I'm pretty sure that's an AI though. Like that was the vibes I was getting off of it. Like, I'm not an AI, wink. Like that's the vibe I got from it and that whole sort of interaction and part of the story. I mean, so nice boss. After you meet him, like in my game, like 2 weeks after I met him, gives me a ship, like his old ship, and then you fix it up so that you can one day roam the solar system and do things. Yeah, for
whatever reason. I mean, that one was kind of out of nowhere. It does feel like the story was cut down as well. There should have been some more interactions with them.
So you thought that this was really poorly paced. I thought that the pacing was fine on the story.
Well,
because
I think what it is that after you hit a certain rank, it counts off so many shifts before something happens. And because I was taking long shifts, I would do several ships and not have something pop up.
Yeah. And I would do several shifts, which might be, 45 minutes, an hour of real time, and then something would happen, which felt about right. Plus, in between, especially in the beginning, you get a lot of emails with information that you can read or not that has to do with the lore and the history of the world even more.
And it felt more like it lulled for a long time, more than, the pacing was bad.
Yeah. There were lulls, though. Even for me, there were definite lulls. But it was like good pacing all the way up through Act 1. And then Act 2 had good pacing in the beginning. And then a lull. And then Act 3... I stopped in Act 3.
Act 3 is... it's a 3-act game. You're depending on how you are with your personal ship, you're within, 15 minutes of completing the game. Depending on how violent you get.
Right. I would get extremely violent. I would have no problem with that. Because I got to that point, and it's like, okay, I'm going to take a break. And then I never came back. But, the story is, you're working for the company. You get to meet everybody. You get a couple of introductory scenes that serve as like major tutorials. There's lots of tutorials as you go. It teaches you new things as you go, with go up ship classes, and you'll get tutorials on hazards and reactors and different tools and, etc. But you meet everybody. You get some basic information about the world that you're in, and as you progress, you discover that people are trying to start a union, and it's being stamped out by the company, or trying to be stamped out, and you get added to like a secret mailing list, which never made sense to me, because if this company is so invested in lording over your every move and like controlling everything, why would you be able to access secret email accounts on company computers?
Or better yet, why would Lou invite you to the totally secret union group when you've been there for like 3 days, right?
Yeah. Didn't know anything about you. I mean, I get it, solidarity and all that, but you don't know this person, and this company is extremely hostile towards worker rights. So maybe like feel them out first to see if
that's
not
like
a company
Amazon
plant.
times 10.
Yeah.
Or like Amazon times Starbucks times 5.
Yeah. So that's kind of chapter 1, the introduction to the story, the introduction to the Union. You get your ship, and that kind of, it serves as the midpoint for between chapter 1, or act 1 and act 2. And then act 2, there's a new boss that shows up, and he's an asshole. Very, sort of, damn safety. We have too many safety regulations. Go quicker. Cut corners. Kind of thing. And that's sort of act 2. You learn about him. You deal with him. He's very mean. And then act 3.
And also dismissive on that.
Yeah. And then in act 3, you are fighting back to start your union. And you're encouraged to destroy ships instead of actually recovering them. And then...
Well, it's just the one ship, and that's... I think that's my big beef with the story, is that it ties things up too nicely into a bow.
I didn't realize that it was just one ship. I thought it was multiple ships.
No, it's one ship, and everything's fixed. You suddenly get your union, and you get a long cutscene about how everything's so much better now, and Hal is now working back at his old job, reclamation, or processing, or whatever shithole he crawled his way out of. And it kind of leads to the entire feeling that the game was rushed. You get one time that you go apeshit, and because Kato was recording, or Lou or Dee Dee or someone was recording the conversation and leaked it, suddenly the general public has a complete 180 on Lynx, the big overlord company, that they have to fix things overnight, essentially.
I see. I thought it was multiple ships you had to destroy, not just one.
It's just the one. That's why I was saying that you are very close to the ending.
Apparently. I mean, you saw how quickly I went through that story. There is a lot of lore to chew through if you want to read all the codex entries, and like I said, read the EULA, and read all the emails. There's
also data drives that appear randomly, depending on the company that owned the ship previously. There's like different sets of data drives. There's this one hilarious set. There's one that this guy that was talking about, his life pretending to be a cook to get off world, and then there's another set from that same company complaining about the guy that pretended to be a cook.
I didn't find that one.
Yeah.
Let's see, which ones did I get? I got one about...
Did you get the floating turd?
No, I didn't get the floating turd either.
Well, was it it was talking about how they were removing all the air filters, and E. coli from one floating turd could kill us all. And...
No, I did not. I didn't get that one. I got one about a guy he was talking to a new person on the ship about what it feels like to use the jump gates or the rail gates or whatever they're called for the first time, and how that this dude's like definitely gonna it's like a hazing thing. He's like, hey, you're definitely gonna vomit everywhere, so you need to make sure to drink this. It'll help make it not so bad. And it's kind of like when people will in the military, whenever they go to do the like tear gas testing or whatever, will convince new people to like drink milk before, and whatever this gas is, like it makes you throw up almost guaranteed. So everybody's puking, but yours is worse because they convinced you to drink milk before you went in. Mm-hmm. Like it's that kind of deal. And then I got one that was just maintenance. There were some guys talking about maintenance reports, and then I got a couple of text ones. There's audio ones and there's text ones. And you can read a transcript of the audio ones, at least the ones that I found.
Yeah.
But they're neat. All the ones that I found were neat.
Yeah, I got a couple really funny ones. There's also some that's in sets that kind of encourages you to keep going back to that same class of ship.
Yeah.
But, there's not a lot of variety in the ships to begin with, so... hitting the same ship over and over again, right?
Yeah.
Unless you just want to start a shift, fly around with the scanner on, which that's something we didn't talk about was the scanner.
I forgot about the scanner.
See if there's any pickups for the data drive, then just fly back, right? So the scanner has 3 modes. That essentially, the first one allows you to see the compartments, and if they're pressurized, decompressurized, or just, unknown, or in the process of changing. Like if the ship is getting, a hole blown into it, you actually watch the ship decompress. There's a systems view where you can see, like, pipelines from fuel tanks and, coolant lines, that sort of thing. And then there's a pickup view where you can see like all the individual pieces that you could chuck into the barge, pickups for your personal ship, health pickups, fuel, that sort of thing. And the upgrades for that one essentially extends the range of that, makes it so that it takes less damage, because of course it does, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I use the scanner every once in a while, but unless I was looking for something specific, usually for parts for my own ship, I didn't use it very often. I probably should have, but like I said earlier, like I was going for speed.
Yeah, see, because I was an open shift, first thing I would do would be essentially a flyby of the ship with the scanner on to see, one, if the ship was pressurized, which once you get in higher levels, it pretty much always is. But also to get a feel for, if the ship is in multiple segments, because some ships have like an internal bulkhead with an additional airlock, which those could be annoying because then you have to depressurize them twice.
Yep.
And then there's some ships that is in multiple parts as well. So like, especially the tankers. So there'll be like the ass end cockpit and the nose end cockpit with all the cargo in between. And sometimes that had a bulkhead in the nose as well. So it's essentially 3 decompressions.
Yes. Or you just blast everything.
Mm-hmm.
Problem solved. Huzzah. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that I would have loved a choice on, not just if you could join the Union, but if there was some sort of like additional ending where you could write out your comrades, right?
That would be interesting.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have took it, but it would have been an interesting thing to have some sort of, one agency on if you're even part of the Union. Lou, I literally never said anything to you. Why are you sending me this? I just want to get out of my $120-some billion debt.
Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, I had a couple of minor complaints. I blew past the story talking about it because it was okay. a lot of it wasn't memorable to me.
I do think the ending
fine.
sequence is nice, but it feels like it tied it up too nicely into a... Act 3, once you get to industrial action, it's pretty much the game's over, or the story's over, I should say. They do have a kind of... Well, one, they have a sequel hook, where, your character goes off and takes the jump gate out to Jupiter, because for reasons, which remain unclear. I do like that whenever you... so, this is something that you didn't get to see. Whenever you eventually are able to pay off your debt. So, the end of the story, unions are getting established in all the shipbreaker yards. And they reverse a lot of the charges that they imposed on you at the beginning of the story. So, if you did enough shipbreaking before that point, you actually are in the green instead of the red, which is nice. But you also have to have your ship complete. So as you do your shifts, you'll sometimes find free floating parts that you could grab, or you just grab them from things to just wreck the value of that, but have a part that you could use on your ship. If you have both of those complete, you could end your contract. And have the end game or the final sequence, and the final sequence is it destroys your employee card, which is what you see whenever you boot up the game and go into your save file. Destroys that, and you have this long sequence where you get into the ship, and you have your bunny with you. Remember the bunnies that you find occasionally?
Yes.
You have to have one. That's your last upgrade for the ship.
Oh, I already had one.
Yeah. You take the bunny, you put it on the dashboard, and you go fly off into the unknown.
I mean, let's be real here. This is me we're talking about. As soon as I found a bunny that I could keep, I kept it.
Oh, I kept all the bunnies.
Oh, yeah. No, I did too. But, as soon as I found the first one, I was like, oh, that's mine.
Right. But they have kind of a sequel hook where afterwards they create a new clone and you're back in the hab. So you're kind of back where you were, right?
Yeah.
Which I know is partly to allow you to continue playing, but at the same time, right?
Yes. Although that's an interesting sci-fi story hook that a couple of books that I've read use. One of them is a series of books called the Bobaverse, which sounds really boring, but what it is this guy in, the super sexy sci-fi future who makes clones of himself and sends them out on adventures. And every so often they meet back up and talk about their experiences and then remerge their minds and then make new clones to do it again. Mm-hmm. And so the stories that you read are, the individual adventures that the clones go on. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, at the end of the book, they'll come back together, and it's like, so yeah, that was my story. What was your story? Bob number whatever. And then the next book is, Bob whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good series.
Yeah, so I fully expect there to be another Hardspace game. I'm not sure if it's going to be Shipbreaker. I'd be disappointed if there's not another game in the series. Did you watch Zero Punctuation for this game, by the way?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Yahtzee actually really liked the game, but he classified this as a dad game. Where it's slower paced, doing things. And it's kind of made me realize, oh shit, I like dad games.
Oh, I love dad games. Are you kidding?
Well, I never really had the classification for it. Especially... Yeah. So, right?
That's fair. I've never thought of them as dad games, but I see it. I absolutely get it. But, yeah. I mean, I liked it. I didn't shit on it anywhere near where you did, although I didn't feel like you shit on it that much. You had a couple of chief complaints.
Yeah, I just wish there was more. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Especially, once you've gotten to level 20, and you've seen on the ships, there's really not a lot of reason to continue the story unless you just want to take ships apart.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to seen them to do something with that fourth hazard. It felt like there could have been a lot more going on with hazards as well, you know? They made it sound a lot more dangerous than what it was, you know?
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, I never did take an engine apart from the inside because, kind of had that might explain why I had some trouble with some engines that needed a little bit of coaxing.
Yeah. I mean, that was the only hazard that I had any issues with. I mean, otherwise, fire hazards and the electrical hazards, like, I never had problems with.
The only problem I ever had with electrical hazards was my guy hyperventilating because something on the other side of a bulkhead had electricity going on. You got the tense music, and dude, you're not in danger. It's not even near you. Why are you panicking?
Yeah. Very scared. But yeah, overall, we both liked it.
Yeah, I would say it's really worth playing on Game Pass. I'm not sure about the $35 price tag that they have on this game. I mean, there is a lot of there's a lot of playtime, but there's not as much content as I think would be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I get that. And I mean, the core gameplay loop lasted, for me, 18 hours, 20 hours maybe? Yeah, that's probably too much of a stretch. I don't know. Somewhere in the ballpark of 1 to 2 dozen hours, which is good time. Like, don't get me wrong. And if you value your time at, $35, that sounds like a reasonable amount of time, then by all means, go for it, But unless there's some DLC, like might sound weird, but unless there's some DLC that really adds something, I don't think there's any replay value to it. You play, enjoy the satisfying mechanics until they're not satisfying anymore, and then you stop playing it.
Yeah, which I thought we were going to get a Kyle email on this, thinking about it. I had this thought of, oh crap, I didn't check the email before we got started, but I don't see anything. So, Kyle, you fucked up.
Kyle. Yep. All right, so that was our June.
Why the fuck are we having what the hell is this that we're getting? Some sort of pottery thing?
Interesting. Wrong kind of pot, Google. Wrong kind.
I mean, I did check the email for a couple of weeks because, we did.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was our June Game Club. Rage, do you want to tell the lovely people what our July Game Club is going to be?
Well, continuing on with our theme of dad games, it seems, we are going to be playing theHunter Call of the Wild.
Indeed. And spoilers, we've already been playing it. We like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're my friend on Steam, Caffeine Rage over there, you've seen me playing it a fair amount the last couple weeks. And it is on sale right now as well on a deep discount. I got it actually as a Humble Bundle, so... Alright.
Yeah. I did not. I bought the whole thing. I mean, you can play the base game on Game Pass, so you can get an idea for how the game plays and get the gist of it there. But currently, until the sale goes off, you can buy the complete edition for like $45 or something like that, which has all of the DLC. I don't know, not the most recent one, I guess.
Actually, it does, but it also brought up the price. So the complete collection is now $55.
Right.
So you actually got a slightly better deal.
I did. I'm missing that one piece of DLC, but as you pointed out to me before we started recording, it as long as one person has it, everyone else can play it. So you would just have to host for us to use that one. Yeah, which is fine. You've hosted both times we've played so far.
Well, I was expecting to host and just, you were going to grab a couple of DLCs. Not okay, I'm going to grab everything.
I'm just going to buy the whole thing. Yeah. I also really like it. I haven't played as much as you have. I also bought RimWorld. I've been playing that a lot.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing about your event.
I look forward to telling you about them.
And then
I've already had
forcing you on some mods.
Yeah. I downloaded a mod.
Which one?
It's a mod that lets you remove the mountain ceilings.
Ah, okay.
So far, that's the only thing I've downloaded.
I mean...
But yeah.
Prepare carefully is starting off. It allows you to custom tune.
I haven't even been hitting random over and over again. I just take what I've got. But I'll talk about it probably next week, I guess you could say initial thoughts, because even probably 25 or 30 hours still counts as like, this is the beginning of my experience.
More like...
Yep.
Ooh, they've released a lot more on the Vanilla Expanded. Yes, please. Vanilla Expanded is a series of mods by Oscar Podskaski on the Steam Workshop that basically tries to keep the flavor of the base game as much as they can, but expands upon them. So there's additional storytellers, there's expansions on like brewing, cooking, farming, more animal zones, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But then you get things like, and also more factions as well. But I'm just looking at like Freya Fierce as a storyteller, who believes the best stories are those told of raids and glory. Every year after the first year, at the start of your settlement, you'll be getting increasingly unhappy until you send your colonists out to adventure or a raid. Basically forcing you to go do more raiding. And
I haven't raided anyone yet. I've done plenty of trade caravans.
There's 10 storytellers with 8 of them already released.
Cool. But yeah, so I have good news and I have bad news.
Let me guess, you're dying.
The good news is that most of me feels okay. The bad news is that I'm really pushing my voice hard right now to sound as loud and good as I do.
Oh, God. This is as good as you're sounding?
This is as good as it gets right now, baby.
Do you just want to call it there then and save the absolute shit ton of stories that we have?
Yes, I would like to do that. We did record Gameclub for...
Get your COVID-riddled ass back to bed.
Yeah, whatever's going on with my body. Yeah. Well, I would like to do that, please.
Okay, so if you wish to contact us, hint, on Gameclub, you can do so, VGLpodcast@gmail.com. You drop by the Discord, which is over at... you can find a link to that over at VGLpodcast.podbean.com. Or you can tweet us VGL Podcast on the Twitter.
I've been sick and tired and broken, but also Jared. You can find me on Twitter at JMA4707. You can find me on the occasions when we play at twitch.tv/RunicArts, where I play an angry, hungry vampire bastard man who eats people.
So pretty much you plus vampire.
Me plus vampire, yes. And then also you can be our friend on Steam or talk to me on Discord, but you already mentioned those things, so yay me.
And I've been Caffeine Rage. You can find me over on Twitter occasionally, GameOCR, or you can drop by Steam, Caffeine Rage. And I've already given all our contact stuff, but I'll give it once again, VGLpodcast@gmail.com. VGLpodcast.podbean.com, which has a link to all our stuff, including the Discord, which you could contact us there as well. Our lovely, lovely patrons have made this very truncated episode possible. You find out more about that over at patreon.com/VGLpodcast. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kim McLeod. You can find his work over at incompetech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across whatever this is.
The washboard of your voice.
Right. Bye-bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.